Good.
All right, great day, AMP family. I pray that this finds you well. It's a beautiful day in VA. Hope everybody's doing amazing. Welcome to another Amped Up Squad podcast. We got the guys with us. We have J3. Yeah. Eric McCowan, Jason Lamorning, and the legend himself, Joel or Jay. All right. So we are actually going to jump into a pretty, I would say, a hot topic for right now, and things that are the world is kind of dealing with. Mental health is on the tip of the tongue for a lot of people, and let's be completely honest. We don't always talk about mental health. Now, there is a push to be more mental health oriented, mental health conscious when it comes to every aspect of life. But sadly, especially among the Black men's community, we don't really talk a whole lot about it. And so we're going to dive into this conversation with the opportunity to kind of open up a little bit so you all can see kind of where we are, where we have been, some of the obstacles that we may have been faced with during this time, and really just dive into what we think mental health is about and all that. So guys, let me ask y'all these quick questions, and then we will dive into the conversation. Are there any topics off limits to the squad?
No.
Wouldn't say so.
Okay. All right. And will you all be your genuine, authentic selves during this conversation?
Always.
Of course.
Nothing but the truth. So help me God.
All right. So I wanted to make sure that we got that in at the very beginning, because some of these questions can get a little heavy, and I want to make sure that we just really dive into it and really be open and honest about it. So let's start it off with what is mental health to you?
Go ahead, Lamorning.
Oh, me, huh? It's I guess it's a serious topic. Lots of people deal with it every day, especially now during the pandemic. You're stuck in the house, not able to go out. Some people don't care, they still go out, but people who actually care about their life and people around them don't go out, and going through a lot of like being solitation and all that stuff. Solitary confinement basically is what it feels like.
Okay. Come on, guys.
I'd say it's like your like how you manage your emotions, like your well-being. How do you deal with the issues from day to day? Somebody with good mental health doesn't like stress over little things, doesn't go out and is always like having breakdowns and stuff like that. That's why I say what mental health is.
Yeah, it's like a part of, I guess, almost like your subconscious that kind of controls your mindset, or just like something that just automatically triggers or just you can't control it. It's like out of your hands almost at times, but it's like a state of being that, just kind of carries you, that might not be who you really are, but it's something that has, I guess, grown with you over your time of life. So it's a very, very, very big issue.
I say mental health is more like your well-being and your state of mind, and how you carry yourself. Big thing is like what stuff said impacts you, how stuff impacts you, and how you impact others. So it's kind of what it is to me.
Okay. Yeah, no. So my kind of mental health like thing is really just, your overall well-being, or your clarity on how you handle things. Because let's be completely honest, everything starts kind of in the mind. Like how you deal with people starts in the mind. You kind of decide there in the mind, and it's just like, well, what are the things that are affecting what's going on up there, and how you then articulate it to the rest of the world, how you respond to the to the rest of the world out there. It is defined by the dictionary as a person's condition with regards to their psychological and emotional well-being. It says all these pressures seem to affect or seems to be affecting his mental health. So that was it in a sentence. And so for us and for how we're dealing with this, I was thinking when I think of mental health all the time, I was kind of given this like thought process of kind of figuring it out, understanding kind of where I was in my mental health, or where others might be, or where others might be standing. And I call the analogy the storm. Like if you are driving down the road, right? And sunny, bright and shining, woo, and you going good, going at a good pace, and everything is going wonderful for you. And then a storm comes up all of a sudden, like out of the nowhere, and it's raining cats and dogs. And you have basically three options to go to as you're approaching this storm. You can stop and pull it aside. You can keep going like a bat out of hell, so to speak, because you know that you can get out of this storm, or you can move at a steady pace, at a consistent pace, understanding, hey, I'm gonna get out of the storm eventually, keep going. What would you choose out of those three options? What would you choose?
I
Steady
would
pace.
go at a steady pace.
Okay, steady pace. Okay. What'd you say, Jay?
I said steady pace.
Okay.
Yeah, steady pace, because at least you're making some sort of progress.
Okay.
I'd like to say steady pace, but I already be driving fast. So knowing me, I'd be flying through the storm. Not necessarily worrying about if I'm going to get out of the storm, just going fast in general.
Gotcha. Okay. So how I broke it down in the different types of people, right? You have the person that stops and pulls over to the side of the storm. In that storm or in that mental state, they have stopped. They have given up. They find themselves in a rather rough spot. And rather than react, they stop, pull back, and they kind of, okay, we're going to sit here and wait for the storm to pass. In that moment, you find your way basically stuck because now you're at the liberty of the storm. Whatever the storm throws your way, you are currently sitting there. You're not moving. You're not making any progress forward. So any debris, anything that the storm throws your way, you are a sitting duck. If a mudslide happened where you are, you're stuck. You're not going anywhere, and that could lead to you, in essence, perishing. Right? From a racing to get out of the storm like a bat in hell, yeah, you know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, right? You know that that's where you're trying to get to. That's where you're moving forward to. The problem with that is because you're moving so quickly through the storm, you see the end, but you don't see all the obstacles that might be thrown in your way. Like if a tree falls all of a sudden, your reaction time is now cut to less than half. Why? Because you're moving so quickly to get to the end that you're not focused around the things that might be coming your way. Moving the steady pace, you can now react to what's going on. You're not stopped. You haven't given up. You haven't moved over to the side of the ledge of the storm pass. No, you're still steady going. You're still steady moving forward. And the challenge that you have now is, hey, if something should happen, if something should fall out of the sky, if some tree should fall down, if there's an accident ahead of me, I can adjust. I have that opportunity to adjust and move forward. And all of us have, times where all three of those can be applicable. Like when we find ourselves in situations where, like, man, I wish I wasn't here right now. How do I get out of this? How do I move forward? And some of us can throw our hands up and say, okay, that's it for me. We're going to call it what it is. And we'll say whatever the storm happens, what happens. But then some of us get so impatient looking for the end. It's like, okay, I'm just ready to be through this, that we miss all the things that we're supposed to learn in that. And then for those people that stay on the steady, stay on the course, they now can spend time, one, listening to God and saying, hey, there's something coming up ahead, move out of the way. Change the direction. Oh, you need to go here, move here. And that's kind of how I have put that kind of mental area that we find ourselves in most regularly, with the decisions that we make, with the toils, the obstacles, the tests that we are faced with on a regular basis. So let me ask you this. What are some of the stigmas that are you have associated with mental health, whether it was you have associated with it or where you've heard other people associated that stigma with it? What are they in your eyes?
People with bad mental health are just crazy, like a lost cause.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like a stigma I see is when I hear mental health, it's always mental health and followed by something bad or mental health. I have anxiety. I'm doing terrible right now. So don't talk to me or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of times, there's a lot of, I guess, race involved with it, because you'll see some races, they'll have, or they'll blame everything that they do on their mental health issues, and then you'll see some of them actually get away with it. But for us, people will have, various mental health issues, and they just throw them away to the side and just, no, 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 you need to do better. You need to, get this right together. But it's like someone just did everything totally 10 times more than me and is just walking away, sleeping in bed right now. But we're, held to the standard, and now we're getting, courts and trials and judges and, all these dates, but everyone else is just walking free. So I think that stigma of, for other people, it's just, oh, it's okay, it's just their mental health. But for some other races like minorities, it's totally different, and it's messed up.
Mm-hmm.
I know one thing is a stigma, I guess, as a black guy, black man, is that we're not supposed to have mental issues. We're supposed to be strong and dependent. And if anyone feel like less than how we feel, be like, no, you're just insecure and stuff like that.
No, I will have to agree with you all 110%. Um, a lot of the stigmas that I see is, well, one of the things is black men don't have any mental health issues. That's one of those things that is often pinned to us. Well, we take on the world. We don't have to deal with mental health. Okay. How does that make sense? If everybody else deals with it, why wouldn't we? Right. Um, some of the other stigmas is if you have a mental issue, then one, you can't be helped, or here, let's throw a whole bunch of medicine at it. That's the only way for you to get over it, right? Um, and so it's just a lot of things where they automatically assume that because you have a mental issue, that if you're of one race, potentially, that you can be a danger to everybody else. But then you see other races that are dangers, right? Not races, right? And other, I guess, ethnicities, if you want to call it, because there's really only one race. Let's be completely honest. But if we're talking with regard to like mass shootings, right? This is one of those things that is also a hot topic in the news that we see happening too often. And often the card that is thrown in the table, oh, well, they're mentally incapacitated, or they were so passionate that their mind wouldn't let them, and it justifies what they have done. But like J3 said, the other race could be very menial, if you will, but have a bigger incident or have a small incident, and they get the whole book thrown at them. And I think there are stereotypes associated with that. Oh, you better be on your meds, but you can go talk to somebody and it'll be okay. Um, so I think there are a lot of stigmas that can be very one-sided, if you will. Like sometimes they say, oh, well, um, if you have a mental illness, you're probably unemployed, right? You may be a victim of the criminal justice system if you have a mental illness, or you're avoiding treatment, things like that. So it's there are a lot of different stigmas that are kind of thrown at mental health, that people don't really want to talk about it, right? It's one of those things because of the stigmas. One, you don't want to talk about it. Two, you don't want to get help for it. Three, okay, is it really a mental health issue? Like those are kind of the things that I think of when it comes to stigmas for mental health. All right, so how are you doing mentally? Like all of you. We've been in COVID for more than a year now, at this different posture in life. And I know we talked about, our 12 months in COVID on the previous episode, but like, okay, all things aside, I know many of us are working, some of us with our parents, things like that. How are y'all doing mentally?
Nah, I say I'm doing pretty good,
Mhm,
but I'm like super, super anxious. That's all.
mhm.
Like I just have a lot of stuff that's like in the burn, like on a back boiler, waiting to boil. But COVID has put that at a like a slowing low heat. So I'm still just waiting and just waiting. And I'm like, I want this to hurry up, but yeah, you can't rush progress. COVID's like, oh, everything's at a halt, gotta slow down, and no one wants to overjump the gun and start the next big pandemic. So
You're anxious for the new plans that are supposed to be coming.
yeah, like the
Okay.
stuff that's coming up, I'm anxious, I'm ready for it. There's a couple different things that can take me in a couple different directions. So it's like anxious waiting. Every time I get an email, I'm like, yo, is that the email I'm waiting for? Nah, it's just spam. Nah. Check my phone. It's the email. Nah, Nike trying to sell me some shoes. Dang. So just I don't know why I'm that anxious about it, but it's waiting. It's hard.
Okay.
I
Easy.
say I'm
Go ahead.
I'm anxious too, just because I figured once I graduated from college and once I was going to get my master's, I imagined my life being in a different place than it is right now.
Okay.
So kind of like stressed, I guess, that I'm not there, that I'm not in like the vision that I had for myself.
Mhm.
Um, so I say I'm stressed, pretty anxious, and also like drained. I feel like I don't know what's causing that, or I feel so drained all the time now.
Mhm.
Um, I feel mentally drained, like I just want to relax or sit on the couch, watch TV. Like that's what I feel.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'd say I'm at a really surprisingly good state. Because high school, like I guess from the last couple years of high school and leading up to college, it was just like up and down, I guess, because it was like trying to get a scholarship for football or trying to make sure that, whatever I did after school, everything was taken care of. But, life changes, things happen. So you get stressed and you're trying to see if you can still go to college and still get a good job and do all of that. So from high school versus now, it's a total different change because now I'm really grateful and really blessed to say that I have a job and I have good friends and I'm still thriving. But I was trying to think, because I just realized that there are some plans that are coming soon, but it's not like I'm anxious, I guess. I guess I'm more so with Eric as the drain part, but it's more so like I've been doing so much since my scholastic years from when we were young. Like I've never had a vacation to really just sit down and just let everything just calm and just like let everything just be for a while so that way I can you know take some, I guess, a much needed break. Everyone has spring break and summer break and all that, but it's not like I do anything for a while and just sit and do nothing. And I think if I do that way I wouldn't feel maybe drained or anything like that and be ready for what's ever coming next. But I don't know. I just like I'm good mentally, but I think a much needed vacation would definitely do another trick.
What I hear is the boys need to dip into those savings and go out somewhere soon.
Well, look, y'all coming together. The goal
That's
is
what I.
New Orleans
That's
this
what I
year.
hear.
I guess when things open back up, that's what I'm really, I guess, waiting for. Like I just want to. I really can't wait until this whole COVID thing is done, and then we can, go back outside, and I don't have to, wear a mask, because, teaching and trying to talk to students virtually and in person with the mask on every single day, it's very, very annoying, and it's very, very frustrating. So it's just like, I'm trying to hang out with the boys again, you know?
What you were saying, Jason?
Yeah, so same thing with the drained. I basically worked through the whole amount of COVID since it started. There's no breaks involved. And how they had the 2 weeks for each employee, I didn't even get that, but that was fine. And the same with that John said with the vacation, basically even before high school, I didn't take any breaks. Just always busy. But I guess the gaming that we do, that's my break. But mental health aside, I don't really tackle that. As long as I'm working, I don't really worry about what's going on up there. Basically keep it empty for the most part.
Okay. Yeah, no. So me being who I am, and it's one of those things, like my mental health at times has done kind of the roller coaster at times in seasons. Um, COVID didn't help, right? It was one of those things where I am very extroverted, like in so many ways, extroverted with wanting to talk to people, wanting to communicate with people. And at the same time, I can recharge with some very introverted ways, right? I can get to myself and draw and sketch and so forth and be like, whoa, I'm ready to go. Let's go. What's up? Um, and I think one of the biggest challenges has been not being able to see y'all in person. Like, okay, y'all, and then family outside of family. Like I can see my mom and dad, my mother-in-law, my siblings when they're around. But then it's like, okay, well, besides them, who else can you? Well, then I get to see you guys, but most of the time, because we're all working, and of course we have our pods to also protect. It's like, well, we might be able to get together once a month, if that. And then we've gone to kind of this platform to allow us to be able to record and really just get together and knock some things out. Whereas it was like, okay, well, what's going on here? Oh, well, it's not closed, but it's not fully open either. And I saw some other, and because we're just coming out of the winter transition, right, into spring, and it's starting to warm up, it's like, okay, well, how can we social distance and potentially be in front of each other, right? So that's kind of where my brain has been mentally, because I'm like, I'm ready to get out of the house. I have taken like 2 outings recently, one with my wife and then one with my kids and my wife this past weekend, just to kind of get out of the everyday being at the house. If you go to work, you come right back home, and that's it. If you don't go to work outside, you inside
nice.
Working, doing all those things. You go pick up the kids from school, come back home, and y'all stay there. Like, it gets old. I mean, it really does. It gets old. I'm like,
it does.
Can I get outside, please? Please. Not just my backyard, not just the street. Can I go somewhere and hang out at the park with the kids and just run around and they play with kids and have a good time? No, not yet. And so for my mental health as a whole, it is somewhat plateaued in the sense of I'm still good, right? I'm good. It is what it is. But I am not in a low place at this point in time. I have been at times during this, but right now I'm cloud nine. I'm doing some good work. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and my family's healthy. Nobody's had COVID. Nobody died of COVID, and my family. I'm blessed. I can't. My mental state right now is good. So, how do you know then when you're not good? Like, how do you know that you've gone from I'm just in an okay state or I'm in a great state to, okay, I need to check and do something or check in or talk to somebody?
When you notice that your daily routines are starting to fade or change. So like, every day you get up and let's say you make yourself a cup of coffee and head to work. Say you stay in bed longer, you're not making your cup of coffee every morning, you're just going straight to work and you're feeling lower and lower. That's like one thing. Or even like any daily routine, like like for some months, we get off of work, come home, refresh, play Xbox a bit, and then reset for the day. Like if that you just notice that's going downhill, you're not really okay. So stuff like that. And like going off grid, notice ironic. But if you fall off and don't really have a good reason why you fell off, gotta like notice, say, oh yeah, I maybe need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To
What
kind
about
of
you, Jason?
Oh, go ahead, Jason. Mr. Lamorning.
I have no words for that. Don't really know.
Okay. I was gonna kind of piggyback off of Pop Rocks, but kind of like that energy that you had, like especially for the things that you love to do. Like if you love to put on music in the car and sing and jam to it, or play music, instruments physically, or work out, and like if you're especially if you're physical, if you love to do things with your body and move around, if you notice that your energy has drastically moved and changed and started getting lower and started going deeper and towards the depths of the sea, if you know that has significantly dropped, then you definitely know that something's not okay. And that's definitely something that I can kind of notice, or something that I can pinpoint with me. If there's something that I love doing, if I have passion for and everything like that, and I notice, if I'm doing that said thing and I'm just like, it's okay. I know, okay, nah, bro, like let's rewire something. Let's do something, because something's off. Let's retrace our steps to see what happened, and let's see how we can fix it. So definitely that energy part.
If, like you said, when you start to do things differently and you start to stop doing things that you love, like for me playing video games, if it's a week and I'm not on the Xbox, something wrong. I don't be that busy that I can't get on a game a couple times a week. And so that, and if I start like pulling away from my friends and stuff, I already don't text them that much. But if it's like I said, a week, 2 weeks, and you ain't heard from me, there's probably something wrong. It's talking more than that.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I would have to agree with y'all there. I found for myself, it is really, y'all know me, right? Most of the listeners know me. I bring a lot of energy normally. Like that is a regular thing for me. And when my energy isn't there, I'm like, okay, what's up? Like, or I find myself being in my head so much that I'm not dealing with stuff that's going on outside. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, you've been thinking about this for a long time, but I'm so up here and I'm not actually dealing with it. I think for me, that is one of those telltale signs or red flags that, hey, bruh, something's up, something's going on. What are you doing? Did you mess up something? Like, let's retrace your steps, like John said, and figure out, hey, what's missing? What changed or what is different? And I know that even during this time, it's like, okay, well, what has changed that has allowed you to kind of fall into that like lower place and what you're dealing with? And so for me, I can always tell my energy goes, I stop recording as much or I stop posting as often. People are like, hey, I one of my telltales is if I have people in my DMs, hey, Dre, Amped, where you at? Like, what's going on? We haven't seen a post from you in like 3 days. Oh, no, we know you're not that busy. But and because I plan stuff, they're like, okay, if you have missed something and you're planning, what's going on? Or if life has happened that bad, people are like, oh, we just wanted to make sure everything was good. Like I remember when I was consistently posting on YouTube for a while, and I stopped. All of a sudden, people are like, Amped, where'd you go? Like, did your equipment break? Did you need something from us? Like, what's going on? And I was just like, oh no, I just didn't have time to do it anymore. It's like, oh, well, okay. So that's one of my kind of telltale signs when something might be up. When people start reaching out to me because they haven't, one, either heard from me, two, they're missing content that is normally there. My energy level's gone, and I'm not doing the things that I'm normally doing. All right. So what are some mental issues that